Seoul, April 12, 2025. Shocking news comes from the K-pop world. Two members of BTS, Jungkook and Kim Taehyung, reportedly suffered a minor traffic accident on Friday night. The incident occurred while the two were on their way home after attending a private event in the Gangnam area. According to eyewitness accounts, the vehicle in which Jungkook and Taehyung were traveling was hit by another car at a crossroads. Fortunately, both suffered minor injuries and received medical attention. Their agency, Bigot Music, confirmed that their condition is stable and they are currently resting. What shocked the public was the emotional statement from Park Jimin, one of the BTS members who is known to be close to the two. After a moment of silence, Jimin finally spoke up through the Weverse platform. "I'm still in shock, but most importantly they're fine. I felt so guilty for not being with them at the time. Please pray for their speedy recovery. We'll get through this together." Jimin's speech made the army overwhelmed. The hashtag #GetWellSoon Jungkook instantly became a world trending topic in just minutes. Until now, the police are still investigating the cause of the accident. Fans around the world wish Jungkook and Taehyung a speedy recovery and return to greet them with their signature smiles. After the accident that shook the hearts of the army, Jungkook and Taehyung underwent a recovery period of several weeks. Although the injuries suffered are relatively mild, doctors advise them to really rest, not only for physical recovery but also mental. What is not seen behind the official news is the great change that is taking place in both. Jungkook, who had been known as the golden magne full of enthusiasm and almost never stopped working, finally experienced a moment of introspection. In an exclusive interview carried out a few days after his condition improved, he confessed, "When I saw the ambulance lights that night, I realized it could all be over in an instant. I'm too busy being perfect to forget that life is short." He even began to consider slowing down for a moment, more time for himself, his family, and of course the members. Taehyung, who is known to be artistic and mysterious, is also undergoing changes. During his recovery, he spent time painting and writing poetry. In one of his poems shared on Instagram, he wrote, "Broken glass is not the end of the mirror. Sometimes it is precisely in its cracks that we can see our true face." Meanwhile, Jimin, who was devastated emotionally after the incident, began to be more open about the importance of communication between the members. He takes on a more active watchman role, taking care of the mental state of his colleagues and making sure no one keeps the burden alone anymore. Other major consequences. Bigot announced that BTS will be on an open hiatus for a few months. Not disbanding, but a break for each member to soak in life, take care of their health, and pursue other sides of themselves that may have been drowned out by the schedule. However, the news received a positive response. Fans fully supported the decision with the hashtags #RestWellBTS and #HealthOverHustle. After the shocking incident that night, the atmosphere at Seoul National University Hospital was quiet and tense. Some hospital staff revealed that Park Jimin arrived in a hurry wearing a black hoodie and mask, barely recognizable. However, his expression could not hide deep concern. "As soon as he entered the treatment room, he immediately cried," said a nurse. He held Jungkook and Taehyung's hand and whispered, "You promised to stay together until you're old. Why is this?" That moment left everyone in the room speechless. Even Jungkook, although in a weak condition, had a small smile and said, "Hyung, don't cry. I'm just a minor injury, not out of the group." That speech managed to make Taehyung laugh softly, breaking the atmosphere. Armies around the world continue to send support via social media. Many wrote messages of love, prayers, and hope to keep the three strong. Meanwhile, Bigot Music confirmed that BTS's activities for this week will be postponed so that all members can focus on recovery, including Jimin, who is said to be experiencing quite heavy emotional stress. After going through a night full of tears and tension, the atmosphere in the treatment room slowly melted. In the midst of light conversation and thin jokes between the three friends, a surprising moment occurred when Taehyung, who had been known to be cheerful and indifferent, suddenly looked at Jimin deeply and said quietly, "Actually, I wanted to quit BTS at that time." Jimin and Jungkook immediately fell silent. A few seconds of silence felt like a century. Taehyung continued in a hoarse voice, Last year, when we were all exhausted and distant from each other, I felt alone. But I survived because of you. Especially you, Jimin. You're the one who's been watching me the most." Jimin looked surprised, then shook his head slowly, his eyes glazed. "Why didn't you say so long ago?" Jungkook replied in a low voice, "If you leave, I don't know what this group will become, or me." That night, the trio spoke truthfully from the heart, reminiscing about a difficult time, pressure, and a sense of loss that is sometimes invisible behind the grand stage. But precisely because of this incident, their relationship became stronger than ever. The next day, Jimin posted a photo of the three of them holding each other's hands with the caption, "Through wounds, we heal each other." BTS is not just a name, it's a home. The hashtag #Forever7 continues to flood social media platforms, and the ARMY welcomes this moment as a symbol of true friendship that is unshakable. During the recovery period, Jungkook and Taehyung underwent treatment at the same place, an agency-owned rest home on the outskirts of Seoul, away from the camera spotlight, away from the stage. There was only silence and nature. Jungkook, who is usually active and full of energy, was frustrated at times. At the beginning of the first week, he just silently stared at the ceiling of the room. But one night, when everyone was asleep, he opened his laptop and began to write. "I don't know who I would be if I didn't sing or perform, but maybe I should know the answer." That was the beginning of the diary he wrote every night, little notes of fear, longing, and hope. Taehyung, on the other hand, rediscovers his love for art. He got up in the morning, sat on the balcony, and started painting. Each of his paintings depicts an emotion he can't express: a cloudy sky with a single line of light, an empty chair under a large tree, and one in particular, silhouettes of three people sitting close together, with shadows of hands touching each other. Jim often comes to visit. He never brought expensive gifts, only their favorite food and a playlist of old songs when they first debuted. He would sit on the floor, turn on a song, and say, "Remember when we were training until dawn and almost slept in the training room?" Sometimes they just sit in silence, enjoying the sound of crickets or the sound of staff steps outside. But in that silence there is peace. No need to always talk, just know that they are not alone. There was one most unforgettable evening. The three of them sat under a sky full of stars. Jungkook asked slowly, "If we never became BTS, we would still be friends, right?" Taehyung replied quickly, "We'll see you soon. Maybe not on stage, but in this world, people like us will not be far away." Jimin just smiled and replied, "Because we were not brought together to be artists. We were made to be a home." After weeks of only connecting via chat and video calls, the day finally came. The day that all 7 BTS members reunited in person for the first time since the accident. The place is simple: a living room in an agency rest house. There's hot tea on the table, a cake made by Jean that says "fail but full of love," and a playlist of their old songs playing softly in the background. Jungkook entered first, with cautious steps but a big smile. Taehyung followed behind, carrying the painting he had made for the 5 of them. Then the door opened, Suga, J-Hope, and Jean entered almost simultaneously, greeted by Jimin's waiting embrace. For a moment, no one spoke. They just stood in the middle of the room, staring at each other. Teary eyes, stifled laughter, and one indescribable feeling. Their whole agenda. J-Hope is usually the most cheerful, and even the first to cry. "I thought I was strong, but it turned out the longing was real." Suga just sat down, covering his eyes with a hat, but his shoulders trembled slightly. "I don't know what to say. But you know I love you, right?" Jean, the oldest, hugged one by one without a word. "We were broken but not broken. That's what matters." RM, who had always been a guide, could finally breathe a sigh of relief. "I feel like I have to be strong for all of us. You are the one who keeps me standing." After a long hug, they sat in a circle. Jungkook takes out his book, reads a piece of writing. Falling is not always bad. Sometimes, falling makes us realize who will still hold our hand. Taehyung gives his painting. 7 figures sitting under the twilight sky, with shadows merging with each other. "It's us. The most honest version of us." Then, without planning, they began to sing slowly their old song, Spring Day. His voice was quiet, cracked with emotion, but it was the most sincere voice ever heard.